Good morning, Jamie. I am back from the past this week.
We are back to the future, aren't we? Who's who?
Who's
I think we're both going to be. I'll be the old doc. I'll be the lunatic one who writes some of the stupid workouts.
And I'll be the young daft one.
You could be the cool
one. So apologies for last week, first of all. My internet was awful. I do apologise. It's a little better this week, touch wood. So yeah, I know Jamie you boxed off the last couple of days, so thank you there, mate. How's this week gone? CrossFit Total was on Monday, which looks pretty epic. I've been having a sneak peek on the other gyms' Instagrams as well, and like I say, there's been quite a lot of PBs, I think.
Yeah, it was firstly really well received. We've done the CrossFit Total at Blitz probably once a year, every year since we opened. It's like your staple benchmark strength test. But I noticed the members really got behind it. Obviously, we prioritised the back squat most recently and pressing before them. We had some deadlifting kind of in and out, so it kind of got people in the right positions. But members really jumped on the bandwagon. So collected some data, like some raw data. We had about 70 people through the door on the day, which is a fairly decent Monday. And the average male squat was 118 kilos. The average woman's deadlift was 90. They were a couple of numbers that I picked out that in years gone by, I would have expected maybe around 100 for the guys and maybe 70 to 80 for the women. So natural progress. Obviously, you got some outliers. I think the biggest deadlift we saw from the guy was 222, which is pretty decent number. Biggest squat was 180 from a man and 120 from a female, which is a decent squat.
Nice.
But yeah, all in all, pretty good. And I think we'll reveal what we're going to do next, because I think that was the biggest question post total. Like the Tuesday was like, we really liked it. What are we doing next? So I think we'll get into detail in a bit about what we're going to do next and how we're going to progress our squats.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing this a bit different, but why don't we just go straight into that now and talk about what we're going to do forward squatting wise. So we said it a couple of weeks back now that we're going to get more specific, especially towards weightlifting and the strength towards weightlifting. So front squats are now beginning to come in. We're going to alternate between cleaning off the floor and then going into front squats and coming off the rack as well. So this first initial week, we've got a 5 rep max front squat from the floor with a pause in the bottom of the first rep. What's the idea of the pause, Jamie?
So the pause is going to serve a couple of purposes. It's obviously going to make that first squat way more challenging than if you were able to kind of come from the top and then bounce it out. And then secondly, it's a good way to qualify your positioning. You're not going to be able to hold in a poor position. So some time in the bottom of your squat in a good place is going to let your body understand that you're actually going to be in there. It also reduces the overall intensity in respect to the loading that you can get. Having a 3-second pause, we all know that will just knock off maybe 10 to 15% of the weight you can actually get on if there was no pause.
Yeah. I feel like with especially class members, there always tends to be kind of two groups, doesn't there? There's either the group that can power clean it, but then when it comes to a squat, it just kind of folds them. And then you get the other kind of camp where struggle to pull it off the floor, but if they get underneath it, they just they can easily kind of stand it up. But I feel like most members are usually in the power clean kind of then struggle to front squat it sort of group. Would you agree? Would you disagree? What's your experience there?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think more people are, from a skill level perspective, more confident with the power clean, and then the squat is kind of secondary. There's a smaller percentage. For instance, yesterday's class was power cleans and strict handstand push-ups, and I'd say there was one member, she was quite advanced, to RX the workout, but by the end of it she was having to squat clean it because her lack of strength pulling off the floor. But I would say the power clean was her body weight. I think she weighs like 55 kilos. So for her to duck under it, she felt more confident.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, in the notes for that first week, if people are really struggling at pulling from the floor, we have recommended go into the rack, but don't use it as a get out of jail. If someone needs the work on the clean and they can still get a substantial amount of weight from it, keep them off the floor. But if you've got a beginner and a beginner's struggling with the technique on the clean, get them to practice it for the first half, and then for the second half, get them in the rack so they can get some load and that stimulus kind of replicated.
Yeah. So obviously this first week, like I said, we're off the floor. What's kind of the plan going forward? Like how we're looking to progress it, Jamie?
Yeah, so in week 1, we've got a 5RM with a pause. And then from there, we're going to do the same 5RM, but the second week we take it from the rack. Mm-hmm. So the intensity will be potentially a little bit high. We can add maybe five or so kilos, or we'll look to go from the rack and we'll just be able to set up in a better position. Then the third week we'll flip back to the floor, and then we'll go for a 3RM. And then just to note, on that second week, rather than it be built into a 5RM, we'll be having additional volume. So in week 1, if you get 100 kilos for your 5RM with the pause, in week 2, you're going to be doing 3 to 4 sets of 5 with that same load. So the overall volume is much, much higher, but because you're going from the rack, it tends to balance itself out. So like we just said there, it's flip-flopping, and the numbers will be starting to drop ourselves down from 5s to 3s to 2s and then 1s, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I think just this first week, especially on them front squats, we're cleaning the first rep, just making sure people set up in a good position before they even pull the bar off the floor, because if it's pulling off the floor with rounded shoulders, not a flat back, obviously they're going to catch that first front squat and be in a bad position. So again, just reinforcing the basics, and before they even, do anything, like even pull it off the floor, making sure they're in a good position to then give themselves the best chance to be in a good position when they start the front squats as well. I think will be really key. So yeah. Any other little key things specifically for the front squat, Jamie?
Yeah, making sure that the elbows and the lats are nice and clear. So having a nice high elbow position. The most beginner to like under 6 months in members will kind of go through that wrist pain phase. Just getting everyone to loosen off onto their fingertips to get those elbows nice and high. Big breath at the top, because you're going to need it on reps probably 4 and 5 when the going gets tough.
Yeah, for sure. I think a key thing on that is, like Jamie said, just spend a little longer, especially when coming off the floor to do them squats. Just spend a little longer actually loosening off people's front rack, and just making sure the bar's in the palm of the hand, so that even if they can't keep it in the palm of the hands when it comes to the front squats, like the more it's in there, the more tension they're going to have in their upper body. So I feel like that's also another really important thing to do before you even start doing the clean drills, is making sure that that front rack is, nice and ready for those front squats. Right, we should probably get stuck into the rest of the week. So we've got a few other tests this week as well, don't we, Jay? We've got a couple of gymnastic, we've got a gymnastic retest and an initial gymnastic test, don't we? So the Monday we're kicking off.
So we've
retest. Go on.
Yeah, so we're bookending our week. Yeah, I'm doing that with the internet going there. We're going to start and kind of finish our bar muscle up progression. So we've been working this for a few months now, where we've just been steadily chipping away at the volume, using that movement in isolation. We've done a few workouts where we've introduced it in lower volumes, and a few, certainly from the Blitz perspective, a few members have kind of really pushed on and got better there. But what we're looking at doing now is kind of finish this, and then they'll roll into workouts more regularly, and that's the muscle up. So hopefully people will attempt their first ones potentially, or just go for a bigger number than what they did before. And then at the other end of the week, we kind of introduce our new focus for gymnastics, which is going to be the strict handstand push-up, and then anything kind of vertical pressing. So to give you an idea, format wise, we're going to run exactly the same format as what we did for the muscle up. We'll start with an initial 5-minute test where we select the most appropriate movement for you. And in terms of movement selection, we've got 5 options that we've noted. But as you guys, as groups of coaches, if you find that you've got another variation that works really well for your members, please put it in. So those 5 options are strict handstand push-up. That's our holy grail. Then we've got 1 ab mat strict handstand push-up. So that's just reducing the range of motion. Be a stickler for 1 ab mat, because when you've got those big cushiony ab mats and you've got 3 of them, the range of motion is not necessarily enough to get a stimulus. If you've got someone who's 6'8" and they need 2 ab mats and they still get a big range, fair, works both ways. Then we've got our piked handstand push-up variation. So we've got with feet on box, which we know is really, really challenging. And then we've got our piked variation on the floor. Finally, some just pure old dumbbell Z pressing, sitting straddled on the floor, dumbbell pressing. In terms of choosing a movement, I would say movements 1 through 4, so everything that's got you upside down, you need to be choosing a movement that you can get at least 2 reps in a row with from the start. Mm-hmm. The dumbbell Z press would possibly be the exception to the rule, where you're maybe looking at, say, 4 to 6 repetitions before you tend to have a break. Just because of the kind of person that you'll have doing dumbbell Z pressing, they'll respond a bit better to a bit more volume because they're going to be a newer member. So yeah, 5-minute AMRAP, then we'll take our scores and then we'll start the build. Each week we'll put it in. It starts at 6-minute EMOM, then we go 8, and it's not a magical science. It's just simple, good old work.
I think key things going off this gymnastic test. Like I'm sure some people will be thinking, oh, why aren't kipping handstand push-ups in there? And I feel like most class members, the issue that they have is actual pushing strength, like handstand push-up strength. Like you can go through the basics of, you know, making sure you have a good triangle, like with your hands and your head, and go through the basics there, kind of closer to the time. But if we develop this specific strict handstand push-up strength first, then when we come to doing more kipping handstand push-ups again, people are going to have better control. I know the old thing of, you know, some people get a sore neck after handstand push-ups. I know I do after doing them for a couple of years. And I'll be honest, I much prefer a strict handstand push-up to a kipping handstand push-up these days. I just feel like it's a little bit safer. But yeah, like Jamie said, you know, we want to keep that full range of motion. So we're developing the strength all the way through the movement and not just kind of a half handstand push-up, which is, you know, why we're only giving the 1 ab mat strict handstand push-up option there. The other thing I like about these gymnastic tests and why I feel like it's really beneficial for a class to kind of have 2 parts, at least on some days, is that there's some good workouts after. So you might have some members that maybe shy away from testing a little bit or aren't a fan. But there's a workout in there after to still make sure that they come in and they're like, yeah, I'm still going to get a really good sweat on here. And, you know, that if they want to focus more on, you know, just the workout after, that's fine. Not everyone's kind of, you know, bothered about potentially, you know, seeing where they are or wanting to test. But you give there's a bit of something there for everyone, for the competitive people or more competitive people who want to, you know, see those results and see that progression. You know, we've got that test, we've got a retest that we'll do, you know, in a couple of weeks' time or a couple of months' time. So it kind of just caters for everyone really quite nicely there. All good. Right. I guess we should dive into some of this week's workouts.
Yeah.
Should we go through that kind of first half of the week, Monday to Wednesday first?
Yeah, so we've kind of got, if we just look at all 3 of those without what's before it and those kind of things, they're 3 very, very challenging workouts in their own right. So the first one, I just thought of the name of this very quickly. I called it the lie detector test. And the reason I've called it this is because it really exposes character, and it will kind of show who's been doing the work and who hasn't. Run hard, pick up the bar, and just hang on to it, and it's really going to kind of expose whether people are lying about their fitness or not. I kind of got a big smile on my face because it fills me with fear, this kind of workout. I think it's you pick it up and your run's going to be about 90 seconds to maybe just under 2 minutes for some people, and you're going to be able to come in and do a big set of thrusters. I don't think you're going to be able to hold on for 90 seconds of thrusters if you've running pretty fast, but it's going to be one of those ones you put it down and you know you've got to pick it up straight away. There's also ample rest. 2 minutes will fly by, but then you've got to get back in and get going. So pretty tough opening to the week. With these kind of workouts, there's a bit of a gut check to kind of, it's an individual based thing. If your run paces are different to your mate, it's about how hard you're willing to work. Hence the exposing of the lies in your fitness.
Very naughty that. Also, like quite nice in that obviously for the first half of the class, the gymnastic test, it's more pulling based, and then there's some thrusters in there after, which obviously put them together, and we've got Fran. So maybe, like I say, after this kind of reap what you sow phase, expect to see something along those lines of maybe testing those two movements together at some point, when we start to get a bit more specific again. On to the Tuesday, we've got a partner workout. This is a little bit heavier than usual with the dumbbell, and a little bit higher on the burpee box jumps as well. I should expect, even though it's a partner workout, you go, I go, the heavy dumbbell and the high burpee box jumps take a little bit of the intensity out. Maybe I'm wrong, Jamie. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think so. That's deliberate, because we've got a you go, I go. That's where the intensity will be felt, because there'll be a little bit of rest between rounds. But then on the flip side, to make it manageable, we can't be just constantly working through and those kind of things. What you've got is just a reduced number of repetitions, a slightly more advanced box jump as well. So you have to just take a second before you're coming up and over that box. So yeah.
And another thing is, so how often really do we go through any probably dumbbell snatch technique? Really, probably not that much, because it's a pretty simple movement. But obviously with it being that bit heavier, good opportunity to go through some finer details. So it could be just dropping under that dumbbell snatch a little bit more in the catch before you kind of stand it up, or it could be the actual bringing down of the dumbbell, really, because with it being heavier, I know a lot of people tend to struggle to kind of swap in the air with a heavier dumbbell. So it could be you're going to bring it down to your shoulder first before then being able to swap it kind of in the air, so people can stay touch and go for as long as possible. Because like Jamie said, we do want to keep some intensity in there, and staying touch and go is going to be a good way to be able to keep that intensity up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Decelerating the dumbbell on the way down is hugely important, certainly for people's lower backs. And then the skill element, I think there is, you won't mention it because it's you, but doing a really good job of it. But I think 2017 regionals, there's a dumbbell snatch after some gymnastics, and I think there's 3 variations, and we'll put our best mate Ben under the bus. So Ben has to switch it on the floor, and then I think Steve potentially switches where he decelerates it on the way down from his shoulder. And then you like a dumbbell snatch, don't you, Jack? So you were just down and up, and it looked like 20 kilos, but it was about 1 million kilos, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right there. And like I say, that's just kind of my posterior chain's that's my jam. So I know I can, cycle that relatively well. Whereas like Steve, he knows he's got to bring it down to the shoulder first. There's no harm in doing that. And for Ben, for example, struggles with it a bit more. Like he's just going to take it off the floor, but make sure that other hand is down and ready to pick it straight back up with the other hand. So
Yeah.
it's horses for courses, you know, make sure it feels like a heavy dumbbell for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. On to the EMOM on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I think I was being generous with the rest, but it was the total volume of the workout that I was considering when I wrote the rest period in.
Yeah.
So I think this was taken from the JST complete, the all-rounder plan, but with a little bit of a tweak in there. I think there was some burpees in there to kind of boot, but I thought everyone would be a bit burpeed out from the day before. So yeah, with the 12-minute EMOM, each of the minutes is tough to achieve as prescribed or RX. So we want you guys to be kind of working hard. We have kind of mentioned a 45-second cap on the movement or on each minute. If you're one of those advanced members and you feel like you need to use the whole time, but you can get through it, go for it. For your newer members, if they're unsure on their numbers, get them to do round one at 45 seconds, because then that time will bleed out more towards the back end of the minute. But yeah, all three of those are challenging movements in their own right. And then it's the ability to try and get 3 whole sets. So you've got 3 rounds of that to do in total. It's good gut check. It's one of those ones where if you're fit and you can get through it RX, you can kind of come away and think, right, life's good. We'll definitely be redoing this kind of closer to January, February time as well, because all 3 of those movements will be coming up in the open. And those are the kind of capacities per minute that you would need for those. So double unders 80 to 100, 20 to 15 calories in the minute pace when you're in rowing and wall balls and that kind of stuff. And then wall walks, you just need to do them for days, don't you? If they repeat that workout with a 21 in, 5 won't seem like many.
It's true. Like Jamie said as well, just to add to it, make sure you're working hard for them 45 seconds. Like, it should feel uncomfortable, really uncomfortable for the 45 seconds. You got 15 seconds rest, 10, 15 seconds rest. And then same again, you should be telling yourself it's only 12 minutes long. It's not that long, especially with a minute rest in there. So it could be, 3 minutes of hard graft, making sure you're really pushing hard in that 45 seconds. So yeah, earn that rest, I'm going to say there. On to Thursday's mover. Bit of everything in there. Some Turkish get-ups, good for the core, good for the shoulder stability. Box step-ups, good for getting a bit of tension in the lower body as well. Got a bit of this, bit of that there, and a few movements we can also practice that have come up in the open before. I feel like that will actually be quite tough for some people to move for the whole half an hour. I feel like, like I say, it's very rarely we do put a straight up, 30-minute AMRAP in there where one person is just kind of doing it on their own.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those ones where you can kind of adjust your pace according to how you're feeling. The first Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday might kind of leave you feeling very, very sore. So you might want to come in. There's a few different ways that you can reduce the intensity here. Traditionally, add-in rest periods increases intensity. But what I would say for this kind of workout, if you're not pushing the movements, taking maybe 20 seconds after each movement to compose yourself, or maybe 60 seconds after the down ups at the end, just to kind of reset, sip of water. And then once you've done your first round, look at the clock and think, okay, that's taken me 6 minutes. I can probably work through 4 to 5 sets. All of those things will kind of lead to you being in control of the workout as opposed to the workout being in control of you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Love the look of Friday's workout. Just a good CrossFit kind of 3-rounder, pretty simple. It gives people an opportunity where they want to kind of push the pace a little bit more as well. Do you want to hold on to the snatch and break up the toaster bar more, or vice versa? Yeah, I really like the look of that one.
Yeah, some direct interference work. So a lot of people won't realize how much your midline is used when you're snatching, and how much your grip is used when you're doing toes to bar. So the combination of the two will kind of directly impact each other. I think we put in the notes, be smart about it. A lot of the bigger guys and girls will probably think, right, I could get away with doing the first 10 snatches unbroken. What that's going to do is, well, we're telling you here, we're not going to leave it as a secret. It's going to absolutely smash your workout. So break them up, maybe a couple of touch and go, and then hit to singles. Have a plan on if you're going to break up your toaster bar. Is it 2 sets? Is it 3 sets? Is it 4 sets of 5? When we did the 100 toaster bar workout the other Saturday, I explained the story to the members about big scores are sets of 6, 5s and 6s, but just get back to the bar. And a few of the members really responded well to that, and they were like, right, I'm going to use that more often. They were going to try and use it with wall balls, but I was like, no, you can't do 5. But yeah, I think they get the point on the smaller sets on gymnastics. But yeah, it's going to be secretly tough, that.
Yeah, and the other workout that would be good to relate to that one is the one that we had on Tuesday as well, which was the 3 rounds of toes to bar and wall balls. Again, that should give you a good guide going into that Friday. Like, right, I know I can do, if you pushed it a bit too much, this week, next week, right, I need to do 2 sets of 10 with 20 seconds rest, as an example, on the toes to bar. Like, you should kind of be processing it like that and be learning from the workouts you've done previously. How can you relate them to the ones that are coming up so you can strategize it as best as possible? So that would be my advice. On to Saturday. Credit to Tio CrossFit for this one. Did you come up with this one, Jamie, or who dropped this one?
Holly at Tio come up with this one, and then I had the pleasure of coaching it. And it on Saturdays, everyone wants to get a bit of a smash. So I saw the carnage of people trying to bite off more than they can chew. So yeah, it was deceptively hard. Round 1, people do their strict pull-ups unbroken, their push-ups, their air squats. They're through in like 40 seconds a round for their each round. So then they're ending up with just like maybe over a minute on their machine. They hit it pretty hard, 30 plus calories for a lot of people. 2 minutes rest, absolutely flew by. And then it was in their second and third rounds of strict pull-ups and push-ups where they started to break down, and they gave everyone's seen it as a coach, you get the look of fear where you're too far away from home, but you're not going to be able to get there. So yeah, it kind of creeps up on people quickly. Notes for this one is be realistic on your gymnastics capacity. We've done some toaster bar the day before, so your grip might still, and your midline might still be a little bit smoked, but choose a realistic number of pull-ups that you can maintain, not for one round of 3, but we've got 6 sets of this. So we're looking at 6 times, we're looking at 18 rounds of strict pull-ups, 18 rounds of push-ups. So making sure that you've got the ability to kind of hold whatever number that you need to hold. The air squats are a welcome relief. So be smart, go banded pull-ups. On the push-ups, drop to kneeling or bring that total number down, and then just get moving on that machine before you earn a rest.
Yeah, I feel like like you just put it in perspective there. It's 18 sets of 5 strict pull-ups. Like, that's, for your higher level members, or, potentially the competitive members that, jumping class every now and again. Like, they'll probably be on the limit as to whether, they can maintain a good pace doing that. So it could be, they do 3 strict pull-ups and then they can do the rest RX, or like, say, if they really struggle on push-ups, it could be 3, 6, then 15 air squats. So just be smart. Tell members, you should have a good idea of what members can do. So just tell them what they should do if needed to, because no doubt you'll have Billy Big Bollocks being like, yeah, I can do 5 strict pull-ups every round, and then you get to the second interval and he's already doing singles, and it's like, well, right, let's just be a bit smarter about this. So
very true.
Yeah,
very true.
I tell you what would be quite cool, Jamie, to be fair, maybe we should ask some of the gyms that follow the plan to drop as a workout for the next, the next kind of upcoming month or 6 weeks or so, just sprinkle them in here and there. That'd be probably quite a cool idea to do as well.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I love getting inspiration from other areas. The good news for all of you guys is that the Rogue Invitational has taken place. So you'll see we work about 2-3 weeks ahead. So you may see some Rogue Invitational inspired workouts coming forward.
It's nice to dabble in them though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It just kind of keeps it still relative and, you know, keeps everyone like excited about the workouts that are coming up. So yeah.
Yeah, I think from regular members' point of views, they absolutely love doing what they're like inspirational people like Tia Claire Toomey. I mean, the women will just be in awe of watching what they're doing, and then the guys will be absolutely scared that she did that Bella complex at 118 kilos. I know as soon as I saw that, I was like, I need to do it at 120. That's all I had in my head. I was like, I don't care if another dude beats me in there, but like that's Tia is my main rival on the weightlifting, and it's good incentive. It pushes my numbers up definitely.
It's actually insane that 118 kilos, that complex for a female. It's phenomenal.
She weighs 60, it's like double body weight, right?
It is. It's insane. It's actually insane.
For me.
Oh my god, the levels that you know the elite level is kind of getting to now. It's just actually it's mind blowing to be able to do that and still be able to do the amount of gymnastics volume and the conditioning that they have. It's awesome. Awesome to see what the human body can do. Then Sunday, it's a bit of a leggy Sunday, I'd say, a little bit. Again, should be a little bit kind of challenging on the core as well. So we've got 30-minute EMOM, 20 cal machine, 10 overhead plate lunges, and then max burpees in the remainder of that minute. For me, the key thing on that workout is making sure that people can get into a good overhead position for those plate lunges. Because you find with plate lunges, they tend to be a little bit narrower than probably where most people jerk or in and around that position. So we want to make sure people can keep a good lockout on that and not leaning back, okay, and feeling it in the lower back. So just kind of opening up the shoulders and the thoracic a little bit as well will be kind of important before going into that EMOM for me. Anything you want to add there, Jamie?
Yeah, a good scale for that. You've got two ways of looking at it. You can go for a single dumbbell. Obviously, that eases the tension on the thoracic. Or alternatively, because of that narrow position, go for a barbell, and then you can widen your hands. So then we've got people kind of pushing up with both shoulders and both lats to kind of get you into a good position. So have those kind of options at your disposal, because what you don't want to do is think of it as a throwaway movement because you're interested in the burpees, and then you've got people got poor mechanics, and then they're like, oh, my lower back's a bit pinchy, and then they'll maybe associate it with something else, and they won't realize that it's just being tight through your thoracic. So a couple of options there: single dumbbell, or even double dumbbell if you're feeling dangerous. Everyone's been humbled by double dumbbell overhead lunges, or a barbell if you need to take the pinch out of the shoulder.
Good stuff. It looks like a good week coming up.
Yeah, it's good.
Are you going to be dressing up again as a Squid Game warrior anytime soon?
I think I might have to for that first Monday. Dressed, just stood outside the door as people are kind of coming in from their run, just reminding them that it's not getting any better after the run.
I think that's a good idea. At least just the head part of it, so they'll come in and you put it on.
There we go. I won't do it on the Tuesday because the amount of people that hopefully won't trip on the box where their legs are a bit juicy from snatches.
Good stuff. Cool. We're going to wrap it up there. We're going to ask you guys, how things are going. We're going to ask you to drop us a workout that you'd like to see in the program. But yeah, as usual, if you got any questions, hit us up. But yeah, prepare members for what's coming up so they know what the plan is. That buy-in's still there. Yeah, and we should continue to reap the rewards going forward.
Awesome.
See you all later.
See you later, guys.
Sweet.